The county crews are constantly trying to find a balance between using enough salt to keep the streets safe, but not too much to do extra harm to the environment.
After this weekend's snow, followed by rain chances later this week, the salt will now quickly end up in our lakes. Amanda Quintana is here with more on the effort to cut back.
Yes, we've known about salt's harmful impacts on our waterways for a long time, but while our city and county crews have been making an effort to use less salt, the amount of salt in our lakes keeps increasing.
A salt chunk about this size is enough to pollute 1 gallon of water or more.
It's become a bit of a hobby for Hillary Dugan to collect these salt rocks found around Madison.
So when we have these big chunks, really all they're being effective at is polluting our water.
She even created the hashtag oversalting contest, the movement in Madison spreading across the country, all in an effort to educate, showing just how bad this salt is for our waterways.
We put about 500 tons a year into Lake Mendota in an average winter. It's gone from a background concentration of about 1 milligram of salt per liter to about 50. So it's about 50 times higher than it was back in the 1940s.
Local municipalities have been taking notice. There's still a push to get homeowners and private contractors on board.
Basically, for your entire driveway, you probably should only be using about a cup of salt, so like a coffee mug full of salt. And you should be, taking 1 scoop and applying it to your whole driveway versus, taking a bag and throwing it all down.
Madison street crews have been doing their part to limit salt use.
When we put salt down, it's going to be at a maximum of 300 pounds per lane mile. So if you imagine 6 50-gallon bags of salt, that's what's going to be per mile of traffic lane, what gets put down at most.
But Brian Johnson says finding that balance is difficult when salt is really the only tool that works.
In the wintertime, the calls that we get are like, oh, we're not using enough salt. The roads are terrible. And then in the spring, you've used too much salt. Everything's terrible. Look what you're doing to the water.
Although the practices are improving, Dugan says the salt levels in our lakes are still increasing, and the city is growing.
So even if we're decreasing how much salt we're using per lane mile, if we have more lane miles, that can be challenging.
The city of Madison is also hosting salt certification training for both its streets crews and private contractors. In the last 2 years, they've trained hundreds of people to responsibly use the right amount of salt. If you want to learn how, you can visit wisaltwise.com.
All right, Amanda, thank you.